So I started looking for a lighter rain jacket, and somehow ended up wondering if I even wanted a rain jacket at all. Because honestly, where I backpack, this is one of those gear items that I might carry for 20 trips and never even use it. But if I actually ever need it, I really need it. So I'm really trying to figure out what actually makes sense to carry for those just-in-case moments. Most backpacking gear gets judged by how good it is when you're actually using it. But I think rain gear is kind of the opposite. A lot of times you're judging it by how annoying it was to have to carry it all day, and how many times it ends up in the I didn't use pile when you do your assessment at the end of the trip. So before I go off buying anything else, I thought I should look at what I actually already have. Because technically, I already own several things that work. I've got basic frog togs. These things weigh around 13, 14 ounces. It's cheap and it's simple, and I mean, it does get the job done. I think a lot of us have owned a set of frog togs at some point. And honestly, for the money, I mean, it's hard to complain about this. But it's also not something that I enjoy hiking in for hours. And then there's the Swiss Well. I found these on Amazon a while back. And when I was really trying to lighten my load a little bit before I got ready to go on the Colorado Trail, I came across these. And they came in a package of both the jacket and the pants. And these things, a lot of times I don't even really carry the pants, but the jacket itself is only about 10 ounces. And so it's kind of been my go-to for quite a while now. And honestly, it's really not that bad, especially for the price. But it's also one of those pieces of gears that I'm not really sure if I would trust it on how well it would function if I had to be in some really nasty gear for a prolonged period of time. And then there's my Marmot shell that I have. I primarily use this thing the most when I go skiing for winter trips, or if I know I'm gonna be in some really nasty weather, because this thing's solid. It's made really well. Like, I think this thing would work really well in some really hardcore stormy gear. But the challenges that I have with it is it's not very breathable. There's really no way, there's no pit zips, no anything on it whatsoever. And so it works really well during the winter when I don't need to be able to vent out any of the heat. But during the summer, it's just not something that I like to carry out. And plus, it's really heavy. This thing weighs in at like 16 or 17 ounces. So you're talking almost a pound for this jacket, especially for something that I go out with and hardly ever use. So I really just haven't been able to justify putting it in my backpack for a long time. And that's where all of this really started for me. None of these jackets that I have here are completely wrong. But every year I try to upgrade something in my system to make it just a little bit better. And this year I've decided that upgrade's gonna be a rain jacket. So one of the weird things about backpacking in Colorado is that the temperature typically stays pretty dry. We have more blue sky days than we have bad. Yeah, some afternoons we can have some clouds and some thunderstorms, but they normally don't last very long. You might end up getting just a short rain shower. So a lot of times the rain gear ends up living in the bottom of my backpack. Then all of a sudden a really bad thunderstorm will roll in one day when I'm on the trail, and I'm super glad that I actually carried it out with me. Because if you've spent enough time out in the mountains, you know that the weather can change pretty frequently when you're out there, especially when you're above tree line. So now I'm sitting here trying to decide, do I spend a whole lot of money in order to save weight, especially on something that I barely use? Or do I just carry cheaper gear and deal with the trade-offs? But the more jackets that I started looking at, I started to really ask myself, am I even solving the right problem? So I started narrowing down what actually really matters to me. The first thing that matters is weight, because even if you never use it, you still have to carry it all day. The second thing that matters is breathability, because hiking uphill in a rain jacket that doesn't breathe can get really miserable quickly. Then I got to start thinking about that storm confidence matters. Because if I do end up needing to use this in bad weather, then I need to be able to trust it. And that led me to realizing that price matters. Because just like you guys have heard me talk about in some other videos, when you start trying to really start to save some weight beyond what I've already done here, you start to realize that that could potentially cost you a lot of money. Especially on something that's going to end up staying packed away for most of its life. And then I realized too, the other thing that mattered was versatility. When I think about ultralight, I always think about how important it can be if one thing can do the same thing as multiple things. And honestly, that last category is where things really started to get interesting with all this. So when I first started doing some research, I first started off looking at more traditional rain jackets. The Z-Pack's Virtus immediately caught my attention. It's really light, it's got some pit zips, it packs down really tiny, but it's also expensive enough that it really started making me think, do I really want to spend that much money just to get something a little lighter than what I already have? Then there's the Montbell Versalite. This one honestly feels a little bit closer to the balance that I usually like to find in my gear. It's still light, it still has pit zips, and it doesn't quite seem as extreme in the price category as some of the other things that I've looked at. Then there's the Rab Phantom. This thing's super tempting as a throw it in your pack and just forget about it kind of rain jacket. It's super ultralight and a little bit more affordable than some of the others. But just like some of the other things that I have, it doesn't have pit zips, and it's not quite as breathable as some of the other things that I was looking at. And I'm actually not sure how much I'd like hiking in it if I had to hike in some longer days with weather. Then there's the Arc'teryx Norvin. Now this thing is really high quality, but it's also really expensive. And honestly, I'm really just still trying to decide if this actually makes sense for how I backpack. But after looking at all these, I started realizing that I might actually be solving the wrong problem. Because what if the smartest option actually isn't a rain jacket? What if it's something multi-use instead? So then I started looking at tarp ponchos and some of the cape systems. Stuff like the Sea to Summit Ultra Seal Nano tarp poncho or the Six Moon Designs Gateway Cape. And honestly, the more that I looked at these, the more a normal rain jacket just started feeling a little more weird. So now you're potentially combining rain gear, shelter, and maybe even pack coverage, all into one system. And if you're going out on a shorter trip or you're doing a fast packing trip, I can actually see why some people might actually like these. Especially if you're like me and your rain gear pretty much just lives in your pack. But obviously, there are gonna be some trade-offs. How do they work in the wind? Do you get good coverage? How convenient are they? And how easy are they to set up? And yeah, you might end up looking a little goofy going down the trail as well. So really at this point, I don't know that I was choosing between rain jackets anymore. I was choosing between completely different ways to think about rain gear. So after looking at all this stuff, I think it comes down to 4 basic categories. First, there's the cheap emergency shell. Yeah, these are cheap, functional, but probably not something that you want to hike in all day long. Then there's the premium ultralight jacket. These are easy to justify carrying because they're super ultralight, but they're a lot harder to justify paying for. Then there's the breathable lightweight jacket. These are still pretty light, but maybe more realistic if you actually think that you're going to be hiking in weather more often. And then there's the multi-use poncho or cape systems. These are probably the most interesting option here for me, because depending on the situation, they may not be the lightest setup, but in other situations, they could be the lightest because they could replace multiple things for me. And honestly, I think after looking at all this, I think I know which direction I'm leaning. But I'm still not fully convinced just yet, because I really do think this depends a lot on what the situation is that you're trying to backpack in. So this is where I'd actually really like to hear from you guys. Whether you're someone who's actually used a lot of these things, or even if you're a beginner, I want you to think through the scenario I'm in and tell me what you think. Think about the kind of backpacking I do here in Colorado, where I may carry rain gear for a bunch of trips and never even use it. What do you think I should buy? Would you go with the cheap emergency shell? The premium ultralight? The breathable lightweight? The poncho and cape system? Or would you use something completely different altogether? And honestly, tell me, what's the one system that you've used over and over again and still continue to trust? Because I think that's really what I'm trying to figure out here. I don't care about what's trendy. I don't care about what people think is the coolest. I just want to find something that actually makes sense. I think one of the things that I figured out over the years is that backpacking gear is usually more personal than most of the people make it out to be on YouTube. And I think rain gear might be one of the best examples for that. Because the best option probably depends on where you hike, how much weather you deal with, how much weight bothers you, how comfortable you want to be, and honestly, how much risk you're actually willing to deal with. So yeah, I still haven't decided what I'm buying yet, but I do feel like I understand the problem a little bit better now. And once I finally pick something, then it's time to take it out and try to find a storm in Colorado to test to see whether or not I made a mistake. As always, guys, I really do hope this was useful for you, and I really do look forward to you guys helping me make this decision.